Hello, welcome to EDH 502 Unit 4, and today we will talk about single subject designs. A single subject design or a single case research design is a research design most often used in applied fields of psychology, education, and human behavior, in which the subject serves as his or her own control rather than using another individual or group. There are two approaches to experimental research, and today will be focusing on single subject designs. The other is called group designs, and one of the major differences and single subject design is lies in the manner in which the principles of the scientific method are put into operation in designing studies. In group designs, we need a separate control group, and of course the subject here is not serving as their own control. The similarity between the two designs is that both apply components of scientific method to their approach to research. So while both of them are scientific methods, one major difference is with the control group, and the other big difference actually is with the number of participants. For a group design, you would need a quite a large sample size, whereas in single subject designs, your subject, it could be a study based on one subject or a small group of subjects. Single subject designs are typically used to study the behavioral change an individual exhibits as a result of some treatment. In single subject designs, each participant serves as his or her own control, similar to a time series design. So it can also be known as a time series design, a single case experimental design, a within subjects design, or an experimental analysis of behavior design. So, when do we use single subject designs? We use single subject designs, like I said, when we are trying to study behavioral change in an individual or in a very small group of students with similar behaviors. And it is used to demonstrate a functional relationship between changes in the independent variable and the resultant changes in the dependent variable. It provides empirical verification that behavior change occurred only because of the intervention and for no other reason. So let me talk a little about what is an independent variable. Independent variable is a variable that is changed or controlled in a scientific experiment. Independent variables are the variables that the experimenter or researcher changes to test their dependent variable. The effect on the dependent variable is measured and recorded, and a dependent variable, on the other hand, is the variable being tested in a scientific or research experiment. The dependent variable is dependent on the independent variable. As the experimenter changes the independent variable, the change in the dependent variable is observed and recorded. Single subject designs are typically depicted by using letters A and B, where A is the baseline and withdrawal phases, and B are the treatment phases. So, in other words, A equals baseline only. That would be a diary study where you're not making or making any changes or implementing any intervention. You're just seeing the progress as it happens. B is treatment only design, which would be a case study. So there is no baseline data that's collected. And AB is baseline plus treatment. It is a combination of a case study, but because it is a single subject design, there is no comparative group or control group. There are typically or commonly three accepted types of single subject research design. The first one being ABA, which is a withdrawal design. The second one being reversal designs or alternating treatment design. And the third one is the multiple baseline designs, which could be multiple baselines across behavior, multiple baseline across subjects, and multiple baseline across settings. In the ABA withdrawal family of single subject design strategies, A refers to the non-treatment or control phase of the experiment, while B refers to the treatment phase of the experiment. The simplest variant of ABA withdrawal design is the AB design. In this design type, a non-treatment phase is initiated until the behavior in question demonstrates stability. Once the behavior becomes stable, the treatment phase is initiated. The behavior in question, the dependent variable in the experiment, is measured during both phases, and the results for the two phases of the experiment are compared. In the ABA design strategy, we add another control phase after the end of the experimental phase of the project. In some cases, the investigator or teacher conducting a single subject research design is reticent to conclude the experiment in the control condition. This is particularly true if the experiment results in an improvement of the target behavior. This would constitute a problem with the ABA design. To overcome this, the investigator introduces an additional treatment phase at the end of ABA design, which makes it an ABAB design. That is, control condition is followed by an experimental condition, which is followed by an additional control condition and experimental condition. Just to give you a brief understanding of, say, multiple baseline designs, in the typical single subject design, we have considered a single subject, one behavior, and a single setting. In a multiple baseline design, we systematically vary one of the three parameters, either the subject, the behavior, or the setting, while keeping the other two parameters constant. In the designs we have considered so far, we have kept all the three parameters constant. That is, we have considered a single behavior for a single subject in a single setting. What if we are looking at a number of words read correctly in 1 minute by three subjects, so in a multiple baseline design, we look at the performance of several subjects on the behavior, and we could be doing the same changes when it comes to behaviors and or settings. Therefore, the three different multiple baseline designs are multiple baseline across behaviors, multiple baseline across subjects, and multiple baseline across settings. Now let's talk about some components of single subject designs. These are basically characteristics of single subject research. The one being reliable measurement. Since these designs involve multiple measures of behavior, it is important for the instrumentation to be reliable. Conditions for data collection, such as the time of day and location, should be standardized, and observers need to be trained. Consistency in measurement is especially crucial in the transition before and after the treatment. The next one would be repeated measures, for example. The same behavior is measured over and over again. This step is different from most experiments in which the dependent variable is measured only once. Repeated measures are needed to obtain a clear pattern of consistency in the behavior over time. They control for the normal variation of behavior that is expected within short time intervals. This aspect of single subject designs is similar to time series studies, which investigate groups rather than individuals and do not provide for a return to conditions that are present before the treatment was implemented. The next component is description of conditions or specifying the problem. We need to make sure that we have a clear, detailed description of the conditions of measurement, and the nature of the treatment is needed to strengthen internal and external validity. We also must have a baseline and a treatment condition. Each single subject study involves at least one baseline and one treatment condition. The baseline refers to a period of time in which the target behavior, which is the dependent variable, is observed and recorded as it occurs without a special or new intervention. The baseline behavior provides the frame of the reference against which future behavior is compared. The term baseline can also refer to a period of time following a treatment in which conditions match what was present in the original baseline. The treatment condition is a period of time during which the experimental manipulation is introduced and the target behavior continues to be observed and recorded. Both the baseline and treatment phases of the study need to be long enough to achieve stability in the target behavior. We must also note that during a single subject study, only one variable should be changed from baseline to treatment condition. In some studies, two variables are changed together during the same treatment condition. This is an interaction in single subject research. So, the basic components, if you think about it, just to summarize this, is that we need to specify the problem, we need to select the design that we will be using, we need to measure the problem, we need to have repeated measures, we need to have baseline and treatment data, and we should make sure that we understand how the data would be analyzed. In the specify the problem phase, we must identify the behavior that needs to be changed or treated, which would be your dependent variable. The behavior must be specified as clear as possible in order for it to be reliably measured. And this is really, really critical. The behavior that you identify must be a behavior that is observable, and it must be a behavior that is measurable. The next critical piece is selecting the design. There are a variety of single subject designs that we have talked about, and they are defined by different phases. You have to select a design on the basis of the question or the research question that you want to answer. Withdrawal, reversal, or multiple baseline designs answer the question, is the treatment effective? Interaction designs answer the question, what are the interactive components of the treatment? And ATD designs answer the question, which treatment is more effective? Phases in single subject designs consist basically of baseline and treatment phase, and these phases can be combined in different ways to derive different designs. Once a behavior has been identified, the clinician or the researcher decides how the behavior will be measured. It could be correct or incorrect responses. It could be in the terms of rate of response, that is how many times you want the student to raise his or her hand in class. It could be the length of the response. So for example, if the student is clapping their hand, for how long are they doing that continuously, and how are you going to reduce that, etc. So the number of things that you want to figure out. So you really want to identify the behavior and then make sure it is measurable. In the last few slides, we talked about repeated measures, and I want to reiterate this because it is the hallmark of single subject designs. What really happens in repeated measures is that the behavior is repeatedly measured before, during, and after treatment to determine if any changes have occurred in that behavior. So basically, think about a pre-test, a post-test, and a delayed post-test when you're thinking of academics. In behavior, it would be baseline, it would be during the intervention phase, and then it would be that you would come back to the baseline phase because you want to phase the intervention, and then maybe 2 weeks later, after the intervention has been faded, you come back and repeat the observations to see whether the individual has maintained the skills that had been taught. We've talked about this. A baseline is nothing but the before treatment phase. It is the time when you just go in and observe without any biases. You're just observing and collecting data on exactly what is happening. And this would provide you with something to compare with once the intervention has been implemented. And therefore, we can see that in single subject design, the subject is his or her own control group. So basically, the baseline is the control that would be compared with the data collected during the treatment phase. Single subject designs rely on visual analysis of graph data rather than on statistical analysis. And what we really look at are the slope, the trend, and the level of the graphed data. Just to reiterate, single subject designs determine the effectiveness of the independent variable, generally by visual examination, and what we really look at are the trend, slope, and level. So what is the trend? Trend is the effectiveness of the independent variable is measured by comparing the direction of the behavior before treatment and after treatment is administered. So basically you're looking at three directions: an increase in the occurrence of behavior, a decrease in the occurrence of behavior, or it could be no change in the occurrence of behavior. To be believable, the behavior must be measured a sufficient number of times, and usually the magic number here is 3. You definitely must have 3 stable baseline data points, 3 stable treatment data points, and if you are doing a repeated measure, then you should have a 3 stable points which indicate that the individual has maintained the data. So the magic number is 3, but the critical word here is stable. So until or unless you don't have a stability in the data that you are collecting, whether at the baseline or the treatment phase, you will not stop collecting data during that phase. Let's talk about slope. The degree of slope in the trend will indicate how strong the trend is. A pronounced slope is stronger evidence that the behavior is changing than if the slope is a gentle one. So here in this case, this particular slope indicates a stronger evidence of behavior change than this particular slope, because what you're really comparing is this point to this point, which is much higher when you think about this and this point. The next is level. The level at which the behavior is occurring before treatment is important in determining the significance of the change in the behavior following treatment. So once again, we look at this point and compare it to this point and this point to this point, and what we find is that the level here is much lower, but the change indicates it's much steeper. So this is more strong than this one, because here the level was much higher when this individual began for baseline data, and the increase, say, in behavior or decrease was just a little less than the first one. Back to talk about the criteria for evaluating single subject designs, we must determine if the data are reliable, the behavior was altered when the intervention was administered. We also want to look at the change that the change that was observed was significant, which would be the slope. The results are generalizable to other individuals. The baseline was stable, which is the trend, and there is no variability within phases and or between phases. Single subject designs has its own advantages over group designs. Usually single subject designs, one big advantage is that you do not need a large number of students, so your sample group can be smaller. The ethical question to withhold treatment for the control group. So once again, if you have a control group, you're not really providing the control group with an intervention, and there's this whole piece about whether it is ethical, because if you think there's an intervention that can help students, is it ethical to keep the treatment away from some students just because you want to conduct research? And in single subject design, we overcome that shortcoming because the student or the individual serves as their own control group. To continue talking about the advantages, we get detailed information on the individual subject rather than just pre-test and post-test scores, because we are observing individuals over time, across time, and therefore it involves conducting a lot of observations, but then we are right there to get good quality data that has a long-term impact. Single subject designs are intervention designs that can be used for exploring treatment effectiveness because it really helps us to just focus on whether or not the treatment had an impact or effect on the individual concerned. Single subject designs are practice based and practitioner oriented in that they are flexible and changes can be made during the research study if it is deemed important or necessary by the clinician. So we can basically stop the intervention if it's not working and make slight changes to the intervention as soon as we find out that this particular intervention will not work for the student. And therefore, what really happens is that the gap between the researcher or the clinician or the teacher is narrowed because they are working very closely with each other and collaborating on collecting data. The environment for conducting single subject research can easily be incorporated within the day. You don't have There are no disruptions there because once again this is also because the individual is their own control group. We don't really have to manipulate the setting. We don't have to pull out students. We don't have to worry about treatment impact on students who are not getting the intervention, and therefore and it can be conducted during the hours that they are in the school or in their clinic. Because we're just not talking about students in the schools, we should also think about individuals who have who are not in school anymore but require these supports. Single subject designs provide clinicians with a tool for demonstrating accountability to the administrators. So because the teacher has collected a good amount of data that can be used to show accountability on the fact that the intervention is not is working or is not working, and the clinician or the teacher can immediately take a decision about changing the intervention as soon as he or she realizes that it is necessary. The one disadvantage of single subject designs is the reluctance to generalize results from a single subject to group of individuals. So if there is a study that focuses on just one student and says that treatment X really works well, you cannot really generalize it to a whole group. So you can of students. Therefore, we have to be really careful that we look for more studies that have worked with a larger group of students before we can pick up and we can confidently say that this particular treatment can be used and it will help a larger group of students or a small group of students also. So some considerations when using single subject designs is the length of the phases. The length of the phases should be equal in each treatment phase. However, this is not always possible. Therefore, usually we use criterion levels and maximum number of sessions. And once again, usually when it comes to single subject design, you cannot really determine what the length of the intervention would be, and some because we have to wait till we find a stable day until we reach a stable phase, whether it is in baseline or intervention. So we can determine how long the study would go on. So we really have to be careful about that. Counterbalancing is another consideration that we must keep in mind, because whenever more than one behavior is treated sequentially, there is a risk for order effects. Now, order effects can be controlled through multiple baseline designs by counterbalancing. We are not going to spend too much time about talking about counterbalancing now, but we will be talking about counterbalancing later in terms of how that can be done, because it requires a much longer period in time. The other considerations would be in selecting behaviors. If we are treating two behaviors during the treatment phase in a multiple baseline study, we must ensure that they are different enough that they may not impact each other. Therefore, the two different behaviors and a single treatment would probably be the best way to go. In terms of baseline measures must be obtained on all dependent variable responses. The baseline period must be sufficient enough to determine the stability. So, like I said, the magic number is usually 3, and the baseline must demonstrate a trend, slope, and level that is sufficiently different from the dependent variable when the independent variable is applied. And if this does not happen, then you cannot really measure the impact of the treatment or the effectiveness of the treatment.